Let's move on. Bitcoin prices recover after retreating from the new all-time high, basically. Crypto World, CNBC Television. Again, links are in the description for all of these guys. That like button. Appreciate you for hanging out. Let's do it.
Today, crypto prices recover after Bitcoin retreated from its new record. The SEC claims that Binance US is not fully complying with the agency's request for information about customer assets. And A16Z's Chris Dixon discusses the use cases of blockchain technology from ETH Denver.
Perfect.
Welcome to CNBC's Crypto World. I'm Mackenzie Sigalos. Cryptocurrencies recovering much of the losses from yesterday's sell-off, which came shortly after Bitcoin hit a new record high. As of noon Eastern, Bitcoin climbed more than 2.5% to just under $67,200, while Ether jumped more than 3.5% to $3,819. Now, other crypto coins fell as of noon, with Solana dropping more than 2.5%.
And now Solana's pumping. It's like $150 or something crazy.
Stocks rose today, along with Bitcoin and Ether. Coinbase jumped more than 7%, and MicroStrategy soared more than 19% as the firm upsized its convertible debt offering to $700 million from $600 million. MicroStrategy says that it plans to use some of the proceeds to buy more Bitcoin. Miners, Marathon, Riot, and CleanSpark rose between 2 and 10.5%. Now, yesterday, Bitcoin reached a record high of $69,210 before prices retreated.
That was 2 days ago. They recorded this yesterday at noon, obviously.
Okay, let's take a look at the top stories. The SEC further delayed its decision on BlackRock's application for its spot Ether ETF. It also pushed back its decision on Fidelity's application. That's according to regulatory filings this week. In January, after giving the green light to 11 Bitcoin ETFs, the SEC first delayed its decision of BlackRock's Ether ETF application. The agency is due to give decisions on spot Ether ETF apps beginning in May. BlackRock
Wait. They saying they delayed it already? Or am I wrong? Did I just hear that right? I'm sorry. I gotta rewind that.
In January, after giving the green light to 11 Bitcoin ETFs, the SEC first delayed its decision of BlackRock's Ether ETF application.
Oh, what was it back then? They had a denial back then when they approved the Bitcoin ones?
The agency is due to give decisions on spot Ether ETF apps beginning in May. BlackRock, Invesco, ARK, and VanEck are among the firms in line for approval, as well as Grayscale, which is seeking to convert its existing Ethereum trust into an ETF.
Perfect.
Next, the
Did they not learn from the first time converting the ETF, though? Or their, whatever the fuck they call it. Their Grayscale shit, right? Didn't they not learn from that with like this bunch of outflows? Apparently they don't care about having these like ridiculously high fees. They have to change things at some point. There's no way they're just gonna, I don't know, we're gonna see the same thing happen. There's gonna be a bunch of shit go in, or it's gonna all come out to tax loss harvest, and then 30 days later Ethereum's gonna pump just like Bitcoin did.
He says Binance US isn't being completely forthcoming in its dispute with the regulator. In this court filing from yesterday, which is a joint status report between Binance US and the SEC, attorneys for the regulator said that the firm is not fully complying with the agency's requests for information relating to customer assets, among other things. The lawyers argue that Binance US refused to answer several questions and that the firm was not abiding by the terms of a consent order in its...
Real quick, Mr. Rudputs, thank you for the 249 super chat. At one point, Binance had only 2 BTC in stock. Binance. Is that what you meant to say? At one point, Binance had only 2 BTC in stock. Interesting. Thank you, Rudputs. Appreciate you, buddy.
Case against the crypto exchange and its global parent,
I was so confused.
Binance. The regulator went on to say that Binance US did not prove to the SEC's satisfaction that Binance Global employees did not have access to US customer assets. We reached out to Binance US but didn't hear back right away, though the report mentions that in mid-February, Binance said it has more than adequately complied with its obligations under the consent order. The SEC sued Binance entities, including Binance US, last June for US securities violations. The SEC also alleged that Binance US customers could be controlled by Binance employees outside the US. Last, Spain's leading data protection agency wants to stop WorldCoin from collecting personal data in a European country. WorldCoin is, of course, the crypto project fronted by OpenAI founder Sam Altman. The move comes after the agency said that it received several complaints against the company about the collection of data from minors, among other things. There have been global concerns related to data collection from WorldCoin, which uses eyeball scanning technology to generate personal IDs. In 2023, the government in Kenya suspended the project following the privacy objections over those iris scans. WorldCoin has argued that the data is used to create a unique and secure form of identification and that it was designed to protect individual privacy.
Interesting. Did anyone here scan their eyeballs for WorldCoin? Let me know. I doubt it. But yeah, that doesn't seem like it's a very good idea.
All right, turning to our crypto coverage from ETH Denver for our main story. I was there and sat down with Chris Dixon, the founder and managing partner of A16Z Crypto. He was there at the event and he discussed his new book on blockchain technology, the use cases for the tech, and Ethereum's next big upgrade.
Carl Coates said, just for my iPhone.
You just wrote a new book. It's an introduction to all things Web3 and how it can be an internet that you designed, that you didn't inherit, that can rival big tech. Tell me about who you wrote it for and what it's about.
Yeah, so it's a book. The book's called Read, Write, Own. And I've been working in sort of blockchains and crypto for about 10 years and felt that there have been some good books on like Bitcoin and some other topics, but no one had written a book, I thought, on kind of the broader productive vision of why we would want to build new internet services using blockchains. And so the book is meant to be for a general audience. It goes through the history of the internet and kind of how the internet has evolved, and then talks about what blockchains are and explains some of the benefits, and then talks about different applications and important new services that can be built using blockchains. And so my hope is that it will help people kind of as a good general introduction as to why people like me and all the people here are excited about this space.
No, this is a conference somewhere. I don't know where it is, to be honest.
I think one of the biggest critiques of Web3 so far is it's super hand-wavy. There aren't enough real-world examples. Jack Dorsey and Elon Musk are two big contrarian voices when it comes to Web3. Yeah. And part of this book, I feel like it digs into actual examples, tangible examples of how this is being used today. Like, and what do you think is the most compelling use case of this kind of tech?
Yeah, I mean, so I see blockchains as basically, the way I describe it in the book, it's like, it's in the same way that steel was a better way to build bridges and buildings than wood was in the Industrial Revolution.
Oh, it's the ETH conference in Denver, is it?
Blockchains are a building material. That's one of the things that makes them kind of harder to understand, because they're not, if we succeed, they're not going to be something that the average person interacts with directly. It's much more sort of a tool that builders use to build things. And the kind of the core idea is that if you build a social network or a game or a financial service on top of a blockchain, it has all sorts of benefits where the money and control flow out to the users and the creators of that access the network, as opposed to the companies that control it. So to take social networks today, the social networks made 150 billion in revenue last year, the big 5 social networks, and almost all of that money went to the companies behind the social networks. But when you go, we wake up and you go to TikTok or you go to Instagram, you're looking at content created by another person, and that person is not getting paid today. And so there's a whole new way, for example, of blockchain-based social media, where instead of the company getting the money, the creators get the money. There are games that are similar. Instead of you can buy virtual goods and kind of blockchain-based games, and instead of the company getting the money, like another user who created those virtual goods is getting the money. So it's basically I think of blockchains, and this is what I explain in the book, as a new way to build internet services where a lot more of the money and the control flows outwards to the users and creators and software developers who use the network. And I think it's particularly important now. The internet has become increasingly consolidated. There are effectively 5 companies that control 95% plus of the traffic and the money. I think AI is a very important, powerful new technology, but will only accelerate that consolidation, because AI tends to reward companies with large pools of capital and compute and data. And to me, blockchains are very important because it's really the only countervailing force. It's the only technology on the horizon that can start to shift power back to the users and the creators and the kind of the the edges of the network instead of the center.
You know, one of the big things that keeps coming up in conversation here is this imminent upgrade to the Ethereum blockchain. It's meant to reduce transaction fees by up to 90%, make it a lot.
That's coming up in like a week, right? It's like 7 days away.
Less cost prohibitive to develop certain applications. People are excited about what this means, both for gaming, but also decentralized social media. How are you thinking about that in terms of like current investments and potential investments now that post Dencun upgrade?
Most people, most of your viewers are probably familiar with Moore's law. So Moore's law is this idea that semiconductors get better and better every 2 years, and Moore's law is one of the reasons that I now have a supercomputer in my pocket, and 30 years ago you had a mainframe computer, and blockchains have a similar kind of, it's not Moore's law specifically, it's not transistors, but blockchains have followed a similar pattern where every year or two they get steadily better. And the upgrades you're describing are examples of that. And so, for example, like we're here at Denver at the Ethereum network has gotten
it is, East Denver, yep.
More and more performant. There's more tools built around it. Its transaction fees have gone down. The security's gotten better. And so it is followed. By the way, one of the big reasons AI kind of blew up in 2023 was that GPUs got so much better, right? NVIDIA and companies like that. And so blockchains have their own kind of performance curve they're following. And that's very important, as it is in all computing movements. And so at some point, I think I hope we're close to that. Blockchains are good enough to create large-scale internet services like social networks and games and financial services that are used by hundreds of millions of people.
You came in this morning, you're leaving tonight, you prioritize getting to East Denver.
Yeah.
Why?
I think Ethereum, this is a big Ethereum conference. Ethereum, to me, so I think there's sort of, some people call money crypto and tech crypto. I call it in my book the computer and the casino, sort of there's people that are more interested in speculation. Ethereum has really become kind of the focal point for, there are other important and good blockchains like Solana and others, but Ethereum conferences have become kind of the focal point of the builder community. We were chatting earlier and you mentioned that there's almost no price discussion here. People are building products, they're interested in technology, they're interested in applications. And so
that's kind of a good point, actually, that these conferences are mainly for people developing stuff and not so much like kind of how Bitcoin conferences are, right? Like kind of just like price go up type deal.
Is really, like, to me, one of the one of the best conferences for if you want to go and talk about building stuff, which is what I'm excited about.
What are you most bullish on? Is it like ZK rollups? Is there a different element of L2s in the Ethereum ecosystem you're psyched about?
We have investments, so there's sort of rollups are systems, kind of, you can almost think of like co-processors that help accelerate the main Ethereum blockchain. We have a few investments there. We have Optimism, which is what's called optimistic rollups, and then we have an investment called Matter, which is doing zero knowledge rollups. Our view is that there's sort of, it's like, in the same way that like, sometimes you want to use a desktop computer if you're doing Excel, and other times you use your phone. In a similar way, there's like different trade-offs you make for different kinds of blockchains or computers, and at some point, for some applications you'll want to use a certain type of system, and for others, other types. And so we think both can kind of coexist and are important, and have made investments in multiple areas.
Last question for you. We're going into a real market. Yeah. A lot of excitement is returning to the crypto ecosystem. What are you excited about, or how are you thinking? Are you thinking differently about your investment strategy as we head into 2024, or has nothing changed for you because prices don't really matter?
I started my career in the internet downturn and have been investing for, I don't know, I guess if you also include angel investing, for 15 years. I kind of like investing when everybody else has left during the winter.
Kind of how it was this bear market, right?
Winters, because it's just, there's fewer other investors. You can take your time and really do diligence, and so we just had a period like that, and we were very active last 2 years. And so we'll see. I mean, look, I think we may, I'm not a macroeconomist. It seems like the economy in general maybe has turned a corner, which is probably a good thing for the world and for the tech world. I hope this time it's a productive kind of growth phase. I think things, not just in crypto, but in tech in general, got a little over exuberant probably in 2021 or two. And so my hope is we'll sort of grow into this. There'll be a lot of new applications. Obviously, I'm very excited about blockchains. There's a lot of exciting stuff on AI. So I like to sort of focus on the fundamentals. And I feel like we're entering self-driving cars, virtual reality. Like, it's kind of, you could argue this, like all of these things that have been in some ways building up for 50 years in computing are all starting to happen. So I think just from, as of like putting on your engineering hat or technology hat, I think we're entering a very exciting time.
So that's kind of what I focus on.
Okay.
All right. Shout out to Crypto World CNBC television for that.